This video illustrates how to use the season melding tool for the 4th Street Hockey EZV game. So I've loaded up the 24-25 season, and now what I'm going to do is create a little league, a miniature league that has just some of the playoff teams from the last, few years. I'll just do 2 years probably, into a single file so that you can play those teams against one another. So first of all, let's go ahead. It doesn't matter that right now I've got the 24-25 season. The meld file that we create will be independent of that. All right, so let's go ahead and click on the meld tool from the toolbar. And once we do, we'll see this interface. All right, first of all, what we need to do is create a new meld file. So right now we don't have one. As you can see, we also don't have a source file. So the source file will hold the teams and players that we want to import into the meld file. The meld file is what the final product will be, and that's what we'll end up playing with several playoff teams. So on the toolbar, I'm first of all going to create a new meld file. And what we need to do is tell the program what season we'd like to make this for. Now, with this sort of thing, we don't really need a current season. We can use a really old one or one off in the future someplace. But it's a good idea to do that because the calendar is based upon some of this information. So for this one, let's go 2040. And then the span for this would be 2039 to 2040. And we're going to give the name to the league. We'll call it Meld League Playoffs 1. All right. And then I'm going to create a new folder in the documents folder that I am saving all my 4th Street games in, or 4th Street seasons in. And I'm just going to simply call it Meld. And inside that, I'll make a subfolder called 203940. Okay, and it's already pre-named the file for me, and that looks acceptable. If it looks acceptable for you, you can go ahead and save that file. The meld file has been created. Now it'll go through an update process to get it current with the current parameters and attributes that are presently used by the game. All right, it's been created and is ready to begin sourcing players and teams. So we'll press OK. After I created the meld file, I exit out of the program. And then what I'm going to do is just go back and open up any old file I want. Again, it's independent of my meld file. Start up the season melder again. And then I'm going to open the meld file that I just created. So I'm going to go in and open this guy up. And now we can see the Meld League Playoffs 1 inside there. All right, furthermore, I'm going to give it a set of initials. So we've got that. And then I'm going to leave the division alone. Well, I guess we'll put it in. Okay, so let's just call it Div 1. And we'll create another one over here called Div 2. Better yet, let's go Conference 2. And we'll call this Conference 1. All right, and I'm now going to open up a source file, and we'll use the 24-25 season here. All right, and now I can see meld file, source file, the pathways of both. And I'm going to go ahead and put in a few different files here, the source file. Florida was one of the teams that played really well here and made it to the Eastern Conference Championships. Carolina was the other. So let's put those two into Conference 1. So I'm going to go Florida. Now I'm going to put a -25 for this. But for the initials, I'm simply going to put FLA. And I'll show you why in a little bit here. Apparently I had that in the wrong spot. So now let's put Carolina in the number 1 spot. Carolina 25. There we go. And if I click now, I've got the two teams. All right. And then over in Conference 2, we had Edmonton. They were one of the teams, and the other team was Dallas. All right, we won't add the 25 to the abbreviations quite yet. We'll come back to that here in a little bit. Oh, we got a little issue there. Must have had it in the wrong spot. All right, so we have 4 teams total, 2 in each of the 2 conferences. We'll come back and populate that with more teams here in a little while. But for now, let's go ahead and dump in the players just as they were for this season. So we'll start out with Carolina. I'm going to click on Carolina 25 in the Meld file tab and then go to the source file and find Carolina. It was in the Metropolitan Division. There it is, Carolina. We'll click on it and then I'll go ahead and select all the players on Carolina's team. Then I'll go over here and we're going to transfer selected players to the Meld team selected on the Meld file tab. So we'll simply click on that. It'll tell us what it's about to do. Do I wish to proceed? Yes, I do. All right. Now, if I go back to the Meld file, you'll see all of the players, starting with Sebastian Aho, that were on Carolina's team. There's also one little spot here that we'll have to take care of here in a little bit. I'll show you to do that later. Now I'm going to do the same thing for Florida. So we'll go to Florida, and Florida was in the Atlantic Conference. So we'll click on that, select the players, and transfer them over. All right, so notice now that the list is getting longer. These are all of the players that are presently in the file. They're in the order by team, in alphabetical order from that. However, we will switch that up here in a little while. But first, let's finish populating the teams. So we'll go to Conference 2 now and take care of Edmonton. So click on Edmonton, then go to the source file. Edmonton was in the Pacific Division. Click on Edmonton, select the players, conduct the transfer. And finally, Dallas. There's Leon Draisaitl, so I know it worked. All right, finally for Dallas, click on it and select it. Second, we'll go to the Central Division, select Dallas, select all the players on Dallas, and click the transfer button. All right, so those are our 4 teams from the 2024-25 season, all there and all ready to go. Now, before I go any further, I told you a little bit about there's a blank spot up here, and that's normal for this program. It will always create, after you create any season file, a blank player, and that record will stay there unless it's deleted. So we need it there initially, but after we've put in the next player, we no longer need it, or nor do we want it. So I'm going to exit out of here just for a moment. We're going to open up the new Meld file. So click there. Here's my Meld folder, 203940. There's the Meld file. So we'll open that up. And as you can see, I've got Carolina and Florida in Conference 1, and over here Edmonton and Dallas. Now, we need to get rid of that blank player. So I'm going to click on the player editor. And right now, this is player number 1. You can see it's a blank player. If I switch to the next player, there's Sebastian Aho. So let's delete that by going over here and clicking the delete button. Okay, that gets rid of it. It does not sort the file, so I'm going to sort it as well. So let's go ahead and do that. All right, so now we have Aho leading off and Sean Walker's last. Okay, and if we just page through a little bit, you can see indeed it has been sorted and different teams pop up. All right, now we'll go back to the Meld tool, and there's a couple other little things I'd like to do to this before we add some more teams. So first of all, let's go in here. We still have our Meld file and our source file. Let's go to rosters and lineups. So we don't need to do the place all the players because they're already there. We would like to restore the lineups using the active source file. So let's go ahead and do that. Now, there's a little note here down below that talks about the abbreviations for each team. The abbreviation for Carolina, as noted before, the initials are CAR, so CARE. That is the same set of initials that's used in the source file. We want that because that's the identifier that the program uses in order to populate the lines. So let's go ahead and restore the lineups or create the lineups, copy the lineups rather. So we'll do that. And it appears to have, yep, lineups are imported. Now we'll go back just to check to make sure that that works. So I'm on Carolina. First of all, I'm going to click the draft button. And sure enough, we have several players listed, all from Carolina. Second of all, I'm going to click on the lines tool. And as you can see, the lines are there. So if I go down and scroll through these, you can see that they're all populated all the way down. And our goalie rotation has been set. Okay. Now, yes, I would like to do that, so we'll let it go ahead and do its thing. And now I'm going to go back into the Meld tool again. All right. Before I add any more teams, now I'm going to add some from the 2023-24 season. I'm going to go back to the initials and I'm going to add a 25 to each one of these. And the reason I'm doing that is I no longer want them to be associated with the original teams so that when I do the next line import, like I just got done doing for these four teams, I don't have to worry about duplicates coming into play. For example, Florida was in the conference championships 2 years in a row, both in the 23-24 and the 24-25 season. Well, the CARE 25 will differentiate it from the new Carolina that I put in for the new source file. Okay, so let's open up the new source file. So this time we're going to go 23-24. And as you can see, it's now listed as the source file. And now we'll do the same sort of thing. So I am going to go down here to Team 3, and we're going to put Carolina 24. I'm still going to use the CAR initials so that we can, again, use the line transfer tool. So we'll go ahead and do that. All right. And now we'll put in the rest of our teams. So for my fourth team, I'm going to put in the New York Rangers. We'll just put in New York R for now, and then NYR for them. And on Conference 2, we have the same two teams. So Edmonton, and the last one will be Dallas. Okay, and we now have, whoops, I got 24 on New York. All right, we're going Carolina 24. So now again, we'll go to the source file, go to Carolina. Actually, I goofed that up. It wasn't Carolina, it was Florida. There we go. And we'll go ahead and import that. Now, a lot of these players will appear 2 times in my meld list. So if we go back here, for example, Bobrovsky, Sergey should be in here a couple of times. And I'm not going to look all the way through it to find him, but I'm sure he's there twice. But anyway, that won't make any difference because the program puts a different designation in for him. So we'll be able to take note of the 2 different versions of that goalie later on. All right, we'll transfer New York. Then over in Conference 2, we'll take care of Edmonton. Voila. And finally, the Dallas should be Minnesota. Stars should be North Stars. No thanks to Norm Green. And we should have it. Okay, now we'll do the same thing with the lineups. Okay, as was the case last time, the new teams that I've just imported, I'd like to also bring in their lines. So let's go ahead and do that. Okay, and lineups are imported. So now we should be set. And before I leave this page, I'm going to go ahead and change the team initials for each of these to 24 to differentiate from 25. Okay, save that up, exit out, and we now have a melded file.